Hello YouTube, welcome back to Crypto Trading, and I am so excited to get into this video. As you can already tell from the title, should you trade more than one pair? Now, of course, the answer to that is going to depend on a few factors. Number one, what is your risk tolerance? Are you comfortable looking at multiple things? What do you like to see? Or are you just this person that is comfortable doing one thing and repeating that over and over? Or do you like to look at multiple things within the market? And now that is going to all depend on what you're most comfortable with or what is most suitable for your personality. But in this episode, I am going to show you how I do it. So do I trade more than one pair? Do I recommend that you trade more than one pair? Or do I recommend that you just look at everything in the market? You are going to have to stick around till the end of this video and find out exactly how I do it. And of course, we are going to be doing a lot of chart work. We're going to be diving into the charts and looking deep into the markets, and of course seeing and showing you exactly how I look at the markets, the process I follow, and how I arrive at the pairs that I trade in every single week or month or any period that I'm trading. There's a process I follow to arrive at that, and of course I am going to show you that in this episode. So I'm very excited to get into this, but before we get into the video, please like this video, hit the subscribe button. We're back to pumping content. We're already at 2,300 subscribers. I'm very excited about that. I'm very grateful to all of you. And of course, we have a webinar coming up on the 1st of April, it's Saturday, happening in our live Telegram channel. Please make sure that you are there in that webinar, and of course we're going to be giving away a very special funded account in that webinar, so please make sure that you are there, because the winner of that funded account, of course, is going to be picked at that event, or of course at that webinar. So I really look forward to seeing you guys in the event. So of course, let's get into the video, shall we? All right, so of course, as you may all know, there are different traders that trade different things. Now, there are traders who trade just NASDAQ. There are traders who trade just gold. There are traders who trade just GBP USD, or traders who trade only GBP JPY. So many traders. And of course, there are traders who trade a whole lot of things. They trade different things in the markets. They trade different asset classes. And now, of course, at the end of the day, the bottom line is this: we all want to make money. That is the bottom line. It doesn't matter whether you're trading or you're an expert at one thing or you're an expert at two markets or whatever. The bottom line is this: are you able to take money out of your trading account? Not your capital, but are you able to make withdrawals? Are you able to grow your account? Are you able to get funded? Are you able to scale your account? That is the bottom line, and that is the ultimate thing that matters in this business. It doesn't matter whether you're trading 100 pairs or one pair or two pairs. The bottom line is money. But of course, there is a way that I like to look at the markets, and how I like to look at the markets is very simple. I like to go through a whole lot of different pairs. Of course, those pairs that I'm going to go through, of course, that I go through, I'm going to show you that in the charts in just a minute. But I like to go through different pairs and see what lines up the most with what I am looking for with the strategy or the market that I trade. Now, the idea is this, right? I prefer personally to master one strategy, master one style of trading that works across different pairs. So in that way, I'm able to take that same strategy, that same setup that I always look out for. I'm able to take that and go into different markets, and I'm looking out for the same thing. Whether I'm looking at the pound, the euro, the dollar, the Aussie, whatever it is I'm looking at, I am looking for the same thing across multiple markets. So that is exactly how I like to trade. And of course, in just a moment, I'm going to dive into the charts and I will show you exactly the process that I use to look out for those to look out for the markets or the pairs that I trade within each week or within the period that I do trading. So please, let's get into the charts, shall we? All right, so looking very quickly at the charts, I like to show you how I pick the top pairs that I trade every week. So the process is this, right? Normally, you can see I have here, they have crypto. I barely ever look at these, but of course, they are honorable mentions in the market. So we have the majors, right? Aussie, Euro, Pound, Kiwi, all of them paired against dollar. And then, of course, you have the crosses. So everything else in the market across Aussie, CAD, Swiss, all of them crossed with each other. Those are the crosses. And then you have indices coming straight out of the US market. And then we have gold now and silver. Of course, oil is used. Of course, I do not trade oil directly, but of course I use it to carry out certain analysis depending on the pair, and of course my own home country here in Nigeria. So the thing is this, right? Every week, at the beginning of every week on a Saturday and Sunday, I would go through all of these pairs. As you can see here, I have Aussie dollar. And what I am looking at the most is what pair shapes up the most, which of them shapes up the most, and where are we in price. Now, for instance, I don't know, you might say this is cherry picking, but for instance, this is Aussie dollar on the hourly chart. Sorry, the 4-hour chart. Now, for instance, if I come into the market in a weekday or on a weekend, and I identify this area, this liquidity level here, that this is where I want to sell from. I want to sell the liquidity here. When the market tags this area, I'm expecting a purge and a revert, and of course to continue the downtrend, because usually in a downtrend, the market will take out buy side liquidity to continue to fuel the sell, or in an uptrend you will see the market taking out buy side of course, and then in an uptrend you see the market taking out sell side liquidity, and of course using all of that liquidity to fill others to the upside. So what I'm normally expecting is, when I'm looking at this, if I was looking at this on a weekend, this was the market I was looking at on a weekend, I know very well that I have an opportunity for the market to come into this place at least during the week, and from here I know I want to be looking for sales. Now, when we look at that, if we get out of there, of course, the market comes there. I mean, we're just looking at it in hindsight, it doesn't matter. And I look at, for instance, something like euro dollar, and I don't see anywhere close. Let's say I'm looking at this on euro dollar, and then I look at the market and I feel like, okay, this is actually way off target, way off mark where I would want to be trading this high. I mean, I'm not going to definitely, trade until the market breaks back below this range. I'm not looking for any type of sell. So, of course, what I would do, I would look for pairs that shape up the most, the ones that are closest to the areas that I'm interested in trading from. That's what I'm looking out for. So, let's say, for instance, on euro dollar, I'm looking at this particular pair, and somewhere within the week, I see any type of pullback, probably into the zones that takes out this liquidity here. I can take a sell from there to the downside. But if I'm looking at Aussie dollar and I don't see anything that looks like that, of course, I'll throw Aussie dollar out and then move on to the next pair. So what I do is I want to go through the market, and then this one took out a 1-to-1. This was a trade that I did take within last week. Oh, sorry, not last week. This week that just closed, and it took out a 1-to-1, and then that was all it gave. So now, within a week, I know very well, okay, yes, for instance, you can see pound dollar is shaping up nicely based on how we like to trade. We might be getting a sell from here, who knows? We might not. And at the end of the day, when you look at Aussie dollar is not looking how I would really like it to look. And besides, this isn't very far away from the lows that we're aiming for. But on pound, we're quite a distance away from the low. It doesn't mean we are going to get all the way to that low immediately, but if we do, that's fine. Or we could even get to these lows. If we do, that's fine as well. But what I'm looking at is where are the pairs positioned? Where are we in price? This looks very good. This could make, and of course, what I do is I have 3 different categories or 3 different lists. One is the alpha list, where I have all the pairs that I could potentially look at. Then the top dogs. These are the top 5 pairs or the top 6 pairs that I'm looking at, and I feel like, okay, these pairs make a lot of sense, and they're very close to areas where I might be interested in trading from. So I pick out these pairs and I put them all in there. And of course, the wildcards. Now, the interesting thing about the wildcards is, I mean, just like Big Brother. I mean, the interesting thing about the wildcards is these pairs, they look like, okay, something interesting might be happening. They might not exactly be at an area of value. Probably they are close or they're not very close, but they look like they are shaping up nicely and they could present an opportunity to get some trades. Those trades will go into the wildcards. And of course, oftentimes if a trade shapes up, and then we have the green list. Now the green list will now show the trade that I will actually go on to take. And for instance, you can see here, I was short. This signal was sent to the community, by the way, within the CTA premium community. We sent this trade over there, and you can see I am actually short this particular pair. Right now, you can see just 2 pairs. These are just 2 trades in here, and of course the GBP USD trade. It's not everything I'm trading, but I am shortlisting these pairs. Okay, and then I'm looking at dollar Swiss. Where are we in price in dollar Swiss? Do we look like we're going to sell? For me, if this doesn't make any sense at all, if I can't make sense of this, I leave it alone. So it is not every time that I'm able to find setups or that I'm able to look at the market and like, oh wow, this looks very immaculate, it is going to be a trick. There are times that we look at certain pairs, and if those pairs look like they're going to confuse us, like of course this in this particular instance, pound Swiss, dollar Swiss wasn't clear, but dollar yen was dollar yen was absolutely clear. And then this was a trade from here, although we did not take it within the community because by the time I came, the market was already here. By the time I saw this, the market was already here, and I mean, there was no way I could have jumped into it with this. Probably the stop loss would have been so crazy. There was no way I would have jumped into that. So what I do is we look at different pairs. Aussie CAD, I look at it on the weekend. All right, you can see how this one happened here. Hit it very nicely. Now we're coming down. Do I have a setup in the coming week? Obviously, I probably don't. And then look at this one here as well. So I am, and if you notice one thing, the consistency of what I'm doing is I am looking for the same thing across multiple pairs. I am looking for the same thing across multiple pairs. Which one shapes up the most? Which one looks most likely to go to the area where I'm interested in? Of course, this wasn't a trade that I took, although it looked like, you know, it made a lot of sense to probably take this trade, probably from taking out this high. We're going to get that sell, but it wasn't very high probability, so I didn't take the trade. I didn't like how it was looking. But, and of course, I was having my eyes on this relative equal lows. From down here, you have these set of equal lows here. You can see those set of equal lows. That's where I was having my eyes on. At least by then, I would have moved my stops to break even. But one thing I'm showing you is this: different markets set up. The market sets up differently across multiple pairs, and I'll show you some pairs that came in through the wildcards as well. This one here, this is CAD yen, and of course CAD yen. We're looking at this. We're looking to take a trade from here within the community, and we had CAD yen, Swiss yen, and Euro yen all on watch at the same time. Then of course I took a loss trading Euro yen from here. By the time I got in on the 1 hour, the Euro yen did close, gave us one of the entry criteria we like to see on this particular candle, and then somehow by the time I noticed the retracement and the market began to consolidate, I closed out before the market hit my stop loss, and then the market traded from this back end liquidity here, and look at that sell. So it is the same thing I am looking at over and over and over again. I'm not trying to trade. I'm not trying to be fancy. You can see here we took the buy side liquidity on Swiss franc and we came down hard, and then look at that sell. So the thing there is this: I am looking for the same thing multiple times. I've come into this level, hit it on Euro Aussie, and we're probably going to get the sell there. Or if not, we might just continue to buy up and probably begin to buy from this liquidity here. We'll probably begin to buy from here, or it might form a continuation, take out this low and go higher. Doesn't matter. But what matters is I am looking for the pairs that shape up the most. All right. So at the end of the day, I am not trying to, what I'm trying to show you this is the consistency of what I'm doing. Just take a look at this same high here. Take a look at this same high. We come target, close below. Look at that sell. Same thing applies here. We come target, we mess around for a little bit, and then we'll come for this second high. We equally have things that cater for this kind of scenarios. But what I am telling you, I am looking for the same things over and over again. And this was the same premise that informed this trade here. Euro pound, we hit this high, came down, formed continuation, and this was the entry. It is the same thing. Same thing everywhere. So what I'm trying to show you is this, right? It is about, and now at the end of the day, of course, I'm going to go through this. I'm pick out my pairs I'm going to look at for the week. I'm not picking out my pairs in this video, but what I'm showing you in essence is I'm looking for the same setup across multiple pairs. This is to enable me eliminate limited options in the market. I don't want to have limited options. I don't want to trade just pound against the dollar, and I am, you know, looking at just that alone. So of course, and one thing that helps me to do is to avoid a lot of screen time. So what I do is I probably look, for instance, okay, just look at the same thing here on pound Swiss. I mean, it's the same setup everywhere. I'm not really trying to do anything different. It's the same setup across different pairs over and over and over again. We take out lows, we go, we take out highs, we go. That is all I am looking for. And this is the same way I've taught the students that come to Chikoro Trading Academy to trade. This is the same thing that we're all looking for. And of course, I did show you this particular trade as well. And I will encourage you. I mean, it works for me, right? It works for me. This was another trade on pounds on Kiwi Swiss. We came hit this high, we came down, and of course we took our structure, the downside here, and then we broke this one out. Of course, the students are taught certain criteria of entry and certain ways that we like to look at the market. But the thing there is this: it makes a whole lot of sense to look for the same. And I've gone through multiple pairs, and trust me, I did not even rehearse this video. This is how my chart looks all day. And if you bring a student from CTA and they show you their chart, this is exactly how their charts look. It's the same thing. No, we're not drawing many things on the chart. We're not drawing you know, trend lines, you know, stuff like that. We're not drawing all of those things. We're just looking at liquidity in line with the trend. And that's all. We want to see buy side get taken out in line with the trend, and we sell that. That is all we are looking for. No big deal, no fancy thing on the chart. All right. So, of course, I mean, look at gold did something here, did something similar here. I mean, it just repeats itself everywhere, irrespective of how you look at it. So, the reason I'm saying all of this is because it's going to make a whole lot of sense if you master one system, how I like to trade and how I like to teach my students to trade. Of course, in the beginning, you don't want to be looking at too many things to avoid probably, you know, over trading, because you might spot setups everywhere, but then at the end of the day, you might not even have the mental clarity to eliminate you know, the ones that best fit the plans and the ones that don't best fit the plan. So in the beginning, I mean, of course, I'm not encouraging you to look at all the numerous pairs in the market, but at the end of the day, if you take one strategy that works and probably expand the options that you have to look at in the market, and not probably just stick to probably trading one pair, maybe GBP or Euro or, you know, gold. It just depends on how you like to trade. So it makes sense to have multiple options, because there are times, just like when I was showing one of the students during the week, and I showed him, I said, look at this mess that we're in GBP USD. We're in this very, very nasty mess of consolidation, and you can see the market was going up and down, you know, taking out this highs, taking out multiple highs, and then you're asking yourself, oh, what's wrong? You're trying to second guess the market. You don't know. You're trying to wonder, okay, does the strategy still work? Is something wrong? What is going on? This and that, all of these questions. And I said, if GBP USD isn't giving you clarity, leave it the hell alone. And this is exactly why you should have at least multiple options to look at in a market that is filled with so many opportunities. When I looked at GBP USD and I noticed it wasn't clear, I scrolled down. Of course, I found Kiwi CAD and look at the trade. I looked at Kiwi Swiss and look at the trade. And then we're looking at what was this guy's name? Euro NZD to probably take it to the upside and probably clear out these highs here and trade into this liquidity level as well. It would have been a beautiful trade, because we're coming from an uptrend, we've cleared out this sell side liquidity, and ultimately we're looking like we're pushing higher. And if we do break above these highs and hold those closes above this high, it makes sense to hold the trade. It makes sense to buy the trade or to buy the market. So why I'm showing you this is, please and please, it makes sense, at least in my opinion and how I see the markets, it makes sense to have a plethora of opportunities to choose from within the market. Not like, yeah, at the end of the day, of course, by the time I'm done and head over to my top dogs, the top dogs are not going to be more than 5 trades, more than 5 or 6 pairs for the week. And the reason I'm looking at 5 or 6 pairs is I am still going to strip it down to 2 or 3. But ultimately, I want to find where the best opportunities are. So the pairs I trade this week might not make the cut the following week. And in the week where certain pairs are quiet and not moving much, you still have other pairs in the market that are doing very, very well. Of course, when we had the dollar dancing around from FOMC and all of those things, and then you can leave the dollar alone, leave dollar related pairs alone, and go elsewhere where you have clarity in the market, and go there and go pick out some money and go there and go make money. So this is exactly how I encourage my students to trade, and this is exactly how I trade. So once again, I hope that this video has been absolutely helpful to you. I hope that this video has made an impact, and of course, we like to bring you more content like this. So please like, share, and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you on the next one. Cheers.